What's up everybody, Tiffany Outdoors here today. An update on all 3 fish tanks. Let's go. There's the hawk. Before there was a Tiffany Outdoors, there was Tiffany the Farmer.
On a U-turn when possible.
No, we're not U-turning.
Hi. Hi, what are you doing? Hi, Boo. What?
Tank number 1, this is the 10-gallon tank. It's doing really well. I've done a water change on this today. It looks good. It's slightly cloudy, but that's okay. It'll clear up shortly. It doesn't take long for this tank to clear up. It's not overloaded with too many fish. There's only 8 fish in there. There's some snails in there and 1 cherry shrimp, which is right there doing little cherry shrimpy things. I love these little guys. They're awesome. Look at those little feet going, tap dancing, eating and going. And unfortunately, that's the only one in this tank. I started off with 4. I had 4 in here, and little by little, 3 of them disappeared. So don't know what happened to those guys. Let's see, what else did I do different? I added that sponge to the intake, and that right there has really helped keep this cleaner, much cleaner. The little bio bag in there is not all gunked up like it was. Most of the gunk is going there. So during the water change, I just take that off, squeeze it in the used water, and get all the dirt out. It's pretty brown, so that's why the water is a little bit cloudy. And this will clear up over the next couple of days. There's a couple of snails. There's a little snail there and a bigger one right there, enjoying the nice biofilm on there, which is great. They're doing their jobs. And this tank, like I said, is doing really well. I thought I saw a baby fish in here, but unfortunately I have not seen it. I have not seen it in a few days, so it may have been consumed. That I'm not sure. There's plenty of places in there for a baby fish to hide, but I only saw the one. So somebody in this tank had babies. Don't know who. There's several females in here. Who knows? Who knows? But this tank is doing really well. I'm very happy with this tank. No complaints. Let's move on to the next tank. This is my 5.5 gallon nano tank with the betta fish. And there is the betta swimming around, happily going along his merry little way. He is a Galaxy Koi male betta. Betta. I keep saying beta. I grew up saying beta. It's actually pronounced betta. But this tank had horrible algae, and it still does. I cleaned off the front glass. I picked all the algae off of the plants right here. They're not doing that great at all. There's no new growth. I haven't seen any new roots put down or anything, but the algae is having a grand old time. You can see on this glass right here, there's algae there. There's 2 red cherry shrimp in there, so I do leave some of the algae in there. I don't want to take away all of it just because of the shrimp, and that's some of the yummies and num-nums that they eat. So I left some of it. I didn't clean it all off completely. Let's go in for a closer look. Look at that algae waving in the current. That is part of some of the stuff that I scraped away. I didn't take it all off, like I said. And there's a lot of gunkiness back there. I'll leave that on the side. There's some along that side. There's a little bit in the front too. And look at him coming to check me out. Y'all, this fish is cool. He's got 1 brown eye, and the eye on the right hand side is white. He's so pretty. Look at that. See, his eye is white. That's pretty cool, huh? And you can see there's a little bit of algae down there in the rocks and stuff. I vacuumed the rocks up a little. And like I said, I left some algae down there for the cherry shrimp. I don't want to totally take up all of that algae because that is part of their food source. And these plants here, they are just covered in it. Covered in it. The rocks had algae on it. I had to take a toothbrush and scrape off the rocks. There's a little bit on the top there, but like I said, I wasn't trying to take off every tiny particle of algae. I wasn't trying to take off every particle of algae off of there because there are red cherry shrimp in there. And that right there, the wood, the driftwood, had algae all over it. I mean, it was just hanging down like curtains. And this piece of wood here had algae all over the top. I scraped off the top, most of the bottom, but underneath there's like a lot of algae. You can still see there's some algae here on the front glass still. And I'll get that off in the next cleaning. I don't have to do it all at once. Leave some for the shrimp. Alright, let's go to the last tank. Talk about an algae outbreak, y'all. This tank looks terrible, but I'm gonna tell you something that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to start dumping a bunch of chemicals in there to clear that up. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to try and add an additional filter on this tank. I'm going to do that first. Maybe it just needs some extra filtration because I did add 10 fish to this tank at once. It wasn't like 1 or 2, wait a month so it can balance out. I added 10 at one time. So the tank is slightly out of balance. Now the water quality is good. I test the water weekly. The water parameters are where they should be. I did have to adjust the lighting. I have this super mega light on there, and I may have had too much bright lights on there, allowing the algae and the nutrients to grow a lot quicker than the fish and plants can consume it. So I did turn down the volume on the lights. I'm going to leave it like that for a little bit, but first thing I need to do is do a water change. I'm going to do a 25% water change, scrape the algae off the front glass and some of the sides, and then add some fresh water in, and then I will show you the additional filter that I have that I'm going to put on this. Alright guys, I want to let you guys in on a secret that I just discovered myself. Now this filter is a top fin filter, and they'll have you believe that you have to have the top fin filters to fit in here. Not true. The Biobags that I have are made by Tetra, and they fit in there just fine. So they're interchangeable, most of them. So don't worry about it if you do not have the right one. Now what I plan on doing with this is, let me show you guys something. Alright. This is the sponge that comes with it. Now this is for your biofilm that helps eat up bacteria, break down nitrites and all of that stuff. That's what comes with it. I want to upgrade it to this one. You see how much thicker this is and more surface? I mean, look at the difference. You can practically see through this thing. This one you can't. So I'm going to try this sponge out. It doesn't fit in there perfectly, but I do want to try this one to see if it has much better filtration. Now, take that out, I'm going to do all the fancy things you're supposed to do with this bio bag. Let me do that right quick. Cut that off. And for some reason, I forgot to save the water that I changed, the dirty water that I took out, because I wanted to swish that around. swish that around in this to help it get started and to knock off some of the dust. But it's okay. It will be just fine without it. I do need to prime this filter. So let me move some of this up, push that all the way up, and got it pushed down, and a little clippy-do here. That's going to go in this first chamber. And my sponge, that's going to go in this front chamber. Apparently it just sits in there. And in this back chamber, you guys see all that space in there? There's all this extra space that I can put stuff in. I'm going to add in some of this pre-filter stuff, and that will actually hold even more bacteria. So I'm going to add a handful of that in there. And they recommend that you change this every 6 months. Y'all, I'm not planning on ever changing this, because if you change it out, then you're getting rid of your beneficial bacteria. Put a few in here. This chamber here. And there we go. Alright. And oh, fooey dooey. Let's see. Uh-oh, accidentally pushed this up. Maybe putting these in this little mini chamber wasn't a good idea. Put them on the big side. Okay, there's 3 in there. That's sufficient. And also on there, I'm going to put... okay, Tiffany, get it together, girl. Okay. Also on this, I'm adding this sponge to the intake. That also too will filter out even more particulate matter. And I'm going to set this up on there. It's going to be hard to get this in there, so I'm going to have to come back to you guys. I squeeze it in back there. Y'all, I put a little bit of water in there to get the bio cubes wet. And oh my gosh, dummy me spilled all the water back behind there. I wet the electrical socket for the light. And it's a mess back there. It's all wet. Ugh. Could have electrocuted myself. This filter actually has a control knob to control the flow. And I want to control the flow on this in the beginning and see where we are at. But first, I need to prime it. Oh, wow. A lot of flow there. Alright, let's turn it down. I need to blast everybody away. Super quiet. I do need to add some more water in here because of the splashing that it's doing. But I can do that in a minute. Alright, I got 2 filters going on this joker. And hopefully this cloudiness will clear up. That water change, it's already looking a lot better in there. Hopefully with that second filter on there, that'll help it a lot more. And then eventually what I'd like to do is take one of those filters off, preferably the smaller one, which is the original one I put on there, and take that off and leave the one that's for 30 gallons on there, and that'll be much better filter for this tank. It should be able to handle all of that, the bio load that is in. So, oh my gosh, that poor shrimp. You'll see the shrimp right there being blown away in the current. It's hanging on for dear life in that current. Ah, bless his little heart. Hang on, little buddy. Oh my goodness. And I've got, I think there's supposed to be 5 or 6 cherry shrimp in this tank. And you can see there's another one right there. So, and I just fed the fish and they're all having a feeding frenzy. And there's many causes for a cloudy tank like this, and I don't think there's a dead fish in there anywhere. Although, you know, most of the fish I only see when I'm hunting for them. Oh, look, there goes a shrimp right there in the front. Right front and center. That's what I'm talking about, little shrimplet. Go, buddy, go! And these guys are supposed to be helping out my little Cory cat right there. Help that one keep the bottom clean. And it is pretty much clean. It's not too bad. It's just got a lot of algae in there. And hopefully with the change that I made to the lights, adding this second filter on there, that'll help clear up a lot of that gook. And look at that plant just floating around. So, there we go. All right. I'll give you guys an update for next week and let you know how this situation is going. Hopefully this will get this tank cleared up and it'll be a lot more fun to look at, because right now, in its current condition, it is not fun to look at. I just look at it and go, oh my gosh, those poor fish. But these tanks, sometimes they go through a cycle. They go up and down in algae and all that stuff. So it's just a matter of me figuring out the lighting to keep the plants growing really well and keep the algae down. So I may have to adjust some of the times on this, like shorter light times. Instead of having it on 8 hours, try it 6 hours. We'll see. We'll just see how it goes, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.